Coming up on today's show, we are going to talk about the following automotive stuff. Straight inline and V engines, 4, 6, 8, and 12 cylinder.
Pretty cool.
I'm going to give you a little education on gas grades and oils. Does more money mean it's better?
That's what I want to know.
Well, you're going to find out, Matt. Engine Noise Podcast is brought to you by oneiauto.com. Quality auto parts that ship quickly and come with thousands of free online videos that walk you through your installs. Matt, did you know that One Auto has fast and free shipping?
I did know.
oneiauto.com. The right part, the right quality, and the right price. Shop them today. Hey there, I'm Jeremy Nutt, your car guy and host of your favorite automotive podcast, Engine Noise. Engine Noise Podcast is for do-it-yourselfers like me who do not mind getting their hands dirty. Matt and I are in the studio today, ready to give you guys a great show.
Yep, that is exactly what we're going to do. Jeremy is going to give you some expert car advice, and I'm going to try really hard to learn something and not fall asleep.
Please do not fall asleep, Matt.
I'll try my best. Let's go. Talk to me about engines, buddy.
All right, what do you want to know?
I don't know anything about V engines or inline engines.
Maybe you don't realize you know about them.
I don't realize it, yeah.
Wow. Inline engines are when all of the pistons are in a row. Does that make any sense so far? Let me back up. Every engine has pistons. So if you have an internal combustion engine that is not a wankel, then...
Doesn't roll around in a circle.
It's not a spinning Dorito. Then you have pistons that go up and down inside the engine.
Right.
In an inline engine, you have a bunch of pistons in a row. So it's a long, straight engine. Kind of looks like the letter I laying down on the ground.
Got it.
And a V engine is when you put 3 pistons next to each other, next to other 3 pistons, and you have a V6. So it's V-shaped.
Yeah.
As I'm demonstrating. The people listening can't see this, but I'm making a V with my hands.
I'm getting this now.
And then my fingers are pumping up and down.
Uh-huh.
There's pistons pumping down on one side, pistons going up on the other, and they're all kind of like going back and forth. They're just 2 different designs of engines. A lot of old cars had inline engines right up until the 1960s, I would say. It was very, very common. Right around the 60s, they started going to more V engines than inline engines. But there's sort of like benefits to both. Inline engines tend to be really smooth running. There's a lot of old-timers that'll claim that you can balance a quarter or a nickel on top of a straight 6 engine and it won't fall over because that's how smooth it runs.
Ooh.
There's a lot of interesting benefits to straight 6s. They have a lot of torque. They're really, really smooth. They're balanced really well. Where a V engine, you can fit it in a smaller space because it's a much shorter engine. And that's sort of the reason why V engines even exist. They make a lot of power and you can fit them in a small space.
That makes sense.
Old cars from like the 1920s up until the 1960s had giant long noses in front of the windshield, and that was to fit big straight inline engines. And as soon as the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s roll around, now suddenly there's no room to put a giant 6 or a giant 8-cylinder straight engine, so they have to go to Vs and they have to go to inline 4s, basically just smaller, more compact engines.
So you'd say like a lot of muscle cars have V engines.
They do, but that's like a horsepower reason more than anything. Oh. Basically, a straight 6 is not going to make the same power as a V8. A V8 is just generally always going to make more power because it has more cubic inches of space to combust and make more power. But you could buy like a 70 Chevelle with a straight 6 in it, and that would be like a base model. And you could buy a 70 Chevelle with a big block 454 V8 in it. They both fit in the nose of that car, but the V8's more power. The straight 6 is base model, weak. Nobody wants that. But like, let's say you're talking maybe Honda Civics. We'll say a 1990 Honda Civic. You can't put a straight 6 in it because there's just physically not enough room. Plus, it's front-wheel drive. So if you were to take a straight 6 and put it in a front-wheel drive transverse-mounted situation. So a transverse engine is when the engine is sideways in the front of the car, as opposed to longitudinal.
Longitudinal?
Yeah. So you can have an engine that's longitudinal.
Go ahead, try it.
Yeah, that's the word. Which is like a 70 Chevelle would be mounted that way. Front-wheel drive Honda Civic has the engine tipped the other way, so it's transversely mounted. You can't fit a straight 6 transversely mounted between 2 wheels because it's just too darn long. But a V6 or inline 4 or even a V8, you could get in there because it's a much more compact thing. So you could mount it transversely, fit it in between the wheels, and make all your horsepower that you need to do your burnouts.
Cool. See, I never knew what a straight six meant.
Straight six?
That's an inline engine.
Yep. Wow. Yeah. So you can have V engines that are 4 cylinders, which are super rare. They pretty much came in like Saab Sonnets. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sonnet. Saab people can correct me. But yeah, those were built in the late 60s, early 70s, I think. And those are the only engines that are only cars that I can think of that had a V4 in them. Then there's V6s, which came in like everything. V8s came in like everything. V10s and 12s, those are more
That's
like
crazy.
Exotic sports cars.
Yep.
Some BMWs, I think, had V10, V12 options, Vipers, things like that. And then the straight engines, you get straight 4 cylinders that came in just about everything in the world. Every imported car in the 80s pretty much had a 4-cylinder straight engine in it. Straight sixes pretty much at this point in time are used in industrial situations. So if you were to go buy a generator for a warehouse, it would probably be a straight 6 engine because it's super basic, really durable, runs really smooth, and it's easy to buy parts for. It's just like the most generic engine
safe
in the universe. Yeah, it's super safe. But yeah, you could get a straight 6, straight 8, obviously an inline 4. I don't think I've ever seen a straight 10 or 12. That would just be insane.
Drag car or something? Maybe.
Like it could be maybe some hero in the 60s put 2 straight 8s together and made like a straight 16 or like 2 straight 6s and got like a straight 12. I don't know. If nobody's done it, we should probably try it out.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's a good idea.
So if you had to pick V engine or a straight, which I know is now an inline engine,
Same
which
thing.
would you pick?
It depends on the car. Generally, I lean towards big V8s. But if I had like a 1930s Packard, I might go with a straight 8. Or if I had a Mitsubishi Eclipse, I'd go with a 4-cylinder turbo. That's how I roll.
So it differs car to car then.
Yeah. If I had any choice in the world, though, I'd go probably a big block Chevy V8 with a couple turbos on it because it was just violent and loud and scary.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there's all kinds of different engine styles out there, and there's benefits to both. I personally like the big V8s because that's how I do my burnouts.
Because burnouts.
Actually, turbo 4-cylinders are pretty rad too. Those are my secret.
And of course, Wankels.
And Wankels. Yeah, I really just like engines.
Yeah.
Anything
I like them all. I like all of them.
I like all engines. So that's my story about engines, Matt.
It's pretty cool.
So Matt, one of my friends backed his truck into a pole of some sort and damaged his tailgate.
Yeah, it's a shame.
He obviously called 1A Auto first. They unfortunately didn't carry the tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
That's more of an item that you need to get locally or maybe have a body shop come up with somehow. And that's exactly what 1A Auto told one of my friends. They said,
Really?
Look, we don't have the part, but here's some ideas of where you could find it. And I thought that was really great. They're not just trying to get you to buy something that is not the part you need.
Right.
They want to get your problem resolved and make you a happy customer for the next time that you need something that they carry.
A lot of places would either try and sell you something different, something that you didn't need. That's great that they're going to help you out with what you actually need.
And hopefully they'll get a sale the next time.
If 1A Auto does not have your part, go to partfinder.com. It's fueled by 1A Auto, and they give you tips on how to search for the part that you need. And the best thing about it, they actually can teach you how to locate these things. Like, say you don't know car terms, like me. I need some help with finding what I need.
Okay, so if you're not like a car expert, you can go on here and they'll probably show you something like what an OEM part number is or what an interchange part number is or something like that.
Right, exactly.
I think that'd definitely help out people like my mom, for example.
Yeah.
If she's searching for some parts for her Honda CR-V, she'll probably do all right there.
Yeah, exactly.
1AAuto.com.
Always giving you the tools that you need to, do stuff.
The right part, the right quality, and the right price. Shop them today.
Fact or fiction, Jeremy?
All right.
Premium gas.
Fact.
I'm not
No?
done.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
Is there really a difference? Just because it's more expensive, does it mean that it's better?
I mean,
Same
it's-
with oil, like the gold bottle.
Yeah, the gold
know?
bottle, yeah, I don't know. The thing is, it depends what you're driving. So there's some cars out there like a Mazda RX-8, for example.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
Yeah, that requires premium gas. If you open up a little gas door, it says like premium gas only. And it wants premium gas because premium gas has a higher knock rating. So let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Every engine, if given enough heat and pressure, it will ignite the gas in the engine without the spark plug going off. So the piston comes up and it's just the engine's super hot and the compression is really high. Like there's something wrong with the engine and the gas ignites itself and it makes a horrendous noise in your engine. It basically makes your piston have pressure against it at the wrong time.
Oh, I guess that can't be good.
It's called detonation or knock. And it makes
detonation sounds terrible.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a really bad thing, right? You should hear it. It'll scare you. And it's really bad for the engine because it's basically pushing the piston down when it wants to come up, which is just bad news.
Yeah.
That's when you break things.
Yeah.
So like if you ever see a car go down the racetrack and then just spit pistons out the side,
oh yeah,
that's probably because it was knocking violently for a couple split seconds. And then it was just like game over and it just bends the connecting rod, spits all the parts out. And then it's see you later engine.
But I'm not driving a race car.
You're not driving a race car. So here's the thing. If you're just driving a regular car that doesn't require premium gas, adding premium gas is not going to do anything for you. You're not going to gain anything out of it. You're not going to
go
get more
faster?
No, you're not going to go faster. Because the thing is, your engine just doesn't require it. The premium gas is a higher knock value or knock resistance value. Your engine is built to run on 87 octane. If you put 93 in it, it doesn't really matter because it's fine on 87 octane. But if your engine is built to have higher compression ratios and maybe it stays at a higher temperature for longer, it needs to have a higher resistance to knock, so therefore you need premium fuel in it. If you were to put 87 octane in an engine that requires 93, you're going to knock the engine earlier. It's not going to make your engine like blow up instantly, but it's going to basically cause the computer to retard the timing, the ignition timing, and it's going to basically take away horsepower from your engine because you're not going to have advanced timing as much. It's going to hurt your horsepower. But modern computers in cars will sort of like, they'll handle this for you. They're like smart enough to know this person put crap gas in the car and we're now going to take away all his horsepower because he's not a smart human.
Is that what a knock sensor is for?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the knock sensor on the engine listens. It's basically like it's like a microphone on the top of the engine. And it just listens for knock to happen. And as soon as it does...
It listens for engine noise?
Oh, man. I don't know how you come up with this stuff on a whim like that. It's crazy. So... it's a microphone on the top of the engine, and as soon as the knock happens, it takes the ignition timing and it backs it off, because as soon as you do that, it slows down the engine, and it basically reduces your knock values.
Wow. Smart engines.
And it all happens like within an instant.
No, it's got to, right?
It's pretty rad. Yeah, if it doesn't, you pretty much...
that's it.
Push your pistons through the oil pan, and that's the end of it.
So would you say then, for the people out there who have the cars that don't require the premium gas, have they been wasting their money?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I think they are.
It could be, 10 cents between premium and per
It
gallon?
might even be more than that.
Yeah, I mean, think about, how many miles and how many
I think they're
fills.
Yeah.
Oof.
But if you were to do some modifications to your engine, let's say you have a non-turbo car and you decide, I'm kind of a baller, I'm going to put a turbo on it, I'm going to throw 15 PSI of boost at it,
boom,
I'm going to do some burnouts, going to take it to the track, that's when you're going to want to upgrade to your premium fuel, because you're throwing more heat at the engine, more combustion pressures, and that's when you're gonna need that knock resistance from your premium gas.
Interesting.
Pretty cool, huh? It's like science.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is all the stuff
You're like a scientist.
This is the stuff that I wish I learned in science class when they're teaching me about amoebas, and I'm like, why am I learning about amoebas when I could be talking about knock values and ignition timing? So yeah, I didn't listen in science class, and then I got out of high school and I was like, this stuff is actually cool and it's science. So skip the amoebas, go for premium gas science instead.
Are you telling people to drop out of school?
No, stay in school.
Okay. Stay in school, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to talk about oil then?
Yeah.
Okay, so oil it's sort of different than premium and non-premium gas. It's like totally different story. So forget you learned anything about premium gas. That doesn't exist anymore.
But we just talked about it.
No, you've forgotten it. It's gone.
Fine.
So now you have oil, what a lot of people call dinosaur oil, which is like oil that is just refined oil, comes from the ground. Dinosaurs basically made it a long time ago.
Black gold.
Black gold, they call it. So yeah, they pump that out of the ground. People get rich. They refine it a whole bunch of times, and then you have oil. And it's just made out of dinosaurs. You put it in your engine, it lubes up the engine, it's all good. What is now available is synthetic oil, where they take a bunch of chemicals. I don't know what these chemicals are. We'll just say they're magic. They mix them all together. They have all these different...
very scientific, by the way.
Yeah, this is where the science comes in.
We'll say it's magic and class dismissed.
It's magic liquids. They mix them all up, and they say, we need this oil to have this amount of slipperiness. Ooh, viscosity. You're throwing big words now. So yeah, they make the oil, and it's synthetic oil, so they're made basically in like a lab. And they figure out how much of nickel to put in it and how much heat-resistant stuff to put in it and whatever keeps the oil clean. They put a little of that stuff in it. You blend it all up in a blender, and then boom, you got your synthetic oil. A lot of new cars, they say that they require synthetic oil because it's just generally a higher grade oil than the dinosaur stuff.
Yeah.
You could put the synthetic oil in a non-synthetic car, but it has the ability to cause some problems.
Right.
Potentially.
So I've heard that if you switch from regular oil to synthetic, you always have to keep putting synthetic in.
Here's the thing about that. First of all, I'm skeptical about oil in general. So I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there, and I don't know how factual it is. I'm just gonna throw it all out there, and we'll see what listeners have to say.
We don't care about the facts here.
Yeah, send us some emails. Give us some facts on oil. If you know more than us, shoot us some emails.
help@enginenoisepodcast.com.
Okay, so you got your dinosaur oil, and you got your synthetic oil. If you have your Dodge truck and you've been using dinosaur oil in it for like 150,000 miles. And now you switch to synthetic. Synthetic has a lot of cleaning chemicals in it that keep your engine nice and clean on the inside. The problem is the dinosaur oil doesn't. So now you put this nice, beautiful cleaning oil inside your dirty, nasty engine that's got 150,000 on it, and the oil is going to clean up all the mess in there. Then your engine is going to start leaking oil because suddenly all of the nooks and crannies
clogged up.
It was all full of nougat inside the engine, blocking the oil from leaking.
Comes the nougat again.
And then suddenly you've cleaned all the nougat out, and now it's leaking out the oil pan. It's leaking out everywhere. Head gaskets, valve covers, all your oil's leaking out. But if you were to go and put your regular oil in your brand new Mercedes that requires synthetic, it's not recommended by Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes would get mad. It would probably be okay, but I don't know. What
not
could go
that
wrong?
he's suggesting.
I mean, I'm not suggesting it. But yeah, I mean, every car has a requirement. If you look in the owner's manual, it'll tell you use 5W30 SAE whatever oil. Or it'll say use 0W20 synthetic oil. Speaking of that, the 5W30, 0W20, 80 weight, whatever that stuff is.
Yeah.
You curious about that?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah.
So every time you go buy oil, let's say you're at your local auto parts store.
Hi, I'm at my local auto parts store.
And your Dodge.
Can I say that again?
No, that's it. So you're in there and you got to buy some oil because your Dodge has leaked it out. You switch to synthetic and it's all leaked out. It's in your driveway.
It would have been leaking anyways. Go ahead.
So you're in there and you're like, do I buy the 5W30 or do I buy the 10W30? And you're like, what the heck is the difference? So basically 5 is a thinner oil because it's meant to handle colder temperatures and stay the proper viscosity.
Yes.
And a 10W30 would be a little bit thicker. So that's at a low temperature. So 5 and 10, they're referencing a low temperature, not actual 5 and 10 degrees though. It's like you have to look at a chart and like 5W30
represents like 30 degrees.
Like 30 below zero or something like that in Celsius. On the other end, you have the like 5W30 is on the high end. So it is able to stay a certain viscosity up to boiling point. We'll say 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit. The higher you go, the thicker the engine oil will be. If you have a 0W20, it's going to be thinner than 0W40. The higher the number, the thicker it goes.
Yeah.
Eventually, you pretty much have honey or maple syrup. The higher the number on both ends, the thicker it gets. And the lower the number, the better it is in the cold because it's thinner, but it's also thinner oil. And if you were to put a thin oil in a engine that requires thicker oil, you're going to not have enough oil pressure. And if you put a heavy, thicker oil in an engine that is not requiring it, you're going to have too much oil pressure, and it'll cause other problems, blowing up things.
I have a solution.
What's that?
My car takes 5 quarts of oil. I get 5 different types of oil that I'm protected for everything.
You've got it covered, exactly. Yeah. And then you just throw some like honey and maple syrup in there just to top it off.
And that's science.
Yeah. I remember in high school, I had just some crappy car. I don't even know what it was at the time. But I was like, I'm going to try this like engine rebuild in a can type stuff.
Ooh, sounds promising.
Yeah, it's basically like it's probably like a quart of molasses, I would say, is about the consistency of it.
Wow.
And you just dump it in your oil, and it just magically rebuilds the engine.
Oh,
yeah, it was amazing.
Peasy.
It did actually stop the smoking though,
because that's a plus.
Yeah, my engine used to smoke. You know what it was? It was my first daily driver. It was my 1987 Dodge Ram 50. It used to smoke on startup, and I didn't want to do the valve seals on it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll just put a little engine rebuild in it, and boom, maple syrup goes in, and no more smoke. I don't know what kind of damage it did to the engine, but you know what? Fixed my smoke. There you go.
Nice.
I think that's about all I know about oil. Generally, I just follow the owner's manual. Like my Subaru requires 0W20, I put that in it. My Le Mans, I put 5W30 in it, or whatever I happen to have laying around the garage.
Have you seen, by the way, videos of like people trying to run engines off of whatever?
Yes.
One was like a Starbucks chocolate type of coffee or whatever.
Right.
And it actually ran for quite a while.
Right. Yeah, there's a few of those where people will just open the oil cap and just dump like
whatever,
like dish detergent in there, or like all kinds of weird stuff. How much time will this engine last with nothing but dish detergent for oil?
It's pretty fun to watch.
Usually doesn't last all that long.
No.
It usually kind of seizes up the engine, and they run it like full throttle too, just wide open throttle, 7,000 RPM.
Brick on the gas.
Yeah, and then just watch the hell happen.
Yeah,
this is why YouTube is so great,
because you can ruin cars without ruining your own.
Exactly, you can watch other people do it.
Yes,
doesn't cost you a thing. To the listeners out there, Engine Noise does not recommend blowing up your engine.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
It's bad news.
Bad idea.
So as far as grades of gas and oil, when it comes to gas, if it's recommended to put premium in or whatever type, that's what you do.
Just put the premium in.
Just put the premium? No, I thought it was a waste of money.
No. If your car recommends it, then you put the premium in. If it doesn't recommend it, just run the cheap stuff.
Got it. And with oil, whatever it says on the cap, basically, or in the owner's manual.
Yeah, go with whatever the owner's manual says, or on the cap. The engine oil fill cap usually tells you what to do. And then just pick a brand you like and run with it. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Engine Noise, a podcast brought to you by our awesome sponsor, 1AAuto.com, quality auto parts that ship free and have thousands of how-to videos that walk you through your installs. Thank you to our producer, Jamie Prohaska, our editor, Patty Ford, and our marketing master, Christian Hera. And thank you for writing us an iTunes review. If you haven't done that yet, go do it.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll have another great episode of Engine Noise drop in 2 weeks. Our show drops on the 1st and 15th of every month, with a little car news and coffee bonus dropped right in between. Be sure to subscribe so that you'll be notified every time one of our episodes drops. And remember to like, follow, and share our show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, do it yourself.
Go fix your Slant 6 engine.
Weld 2 8-cylinder engines together and see what happens.
Straight 16, I like it.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Don't put maple syrup in your engine.
It might taste great, but it's gonna run like crap.
Go to iTunes and write us a review right now. Preferably a good one. Give us 5 stars.
We need it.
Give us 4 stars even.
No, stick to 5.
All right, 5.
This Engine Noise podcast is brought to you by 1AAuto.com. Hit the subscribe button now so you'll know when a new episode drops. Have a question for Jeremy or Matt? Send us an email at help@enginenoisepodcast.com.
Did you know that you can buy a Lego Porsche 911?
Wow, that looks cool.
It's ridiculous.
That looks really cool. How big is that?
It's bigger than you would expect it to be. Like, it's probably a good 20 inches long, I bet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
That's
and
impressive.
The transmission shifts. Like,
no
it
way.
really shifts gears. And the hood opens. The The trunk opens, the wing is adjustable, it has full suspension, the steering works. It has paddle shifters that actually shift the transmission.
That's insane.
And this is made out of Legos.
Yeah, they do some pretty crazy stuff with Legos.
Yeah, back in my day, I was lucky to like have like a spaceship or like a guy on the top of a castle.
All I had was the grass, you know, the big
exactly.
platform, grass platform, and then just a bunch of bricks.
Yeah, a bunch of bricks that are just red, blue, and green and stuff. And
Now they make like dragons and
Yeah.
Porsche 911s.
Porsche 911s with like paddle shifters.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Legos have come a long way.
Mm-hmm.